What is the most that you've made in one day on your live streams?
Around, I guess, 2023, I started making videos and I randomly had a video go viral. I had over very, very close to 1 million views. I had no idea that TikTok Shop even existed. I saw some people being like, this is how much I made per month. And I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I could do that. Let's give that a go.
You really obviously started taking off in February. Since then, what is the most that you've made in one day on your live streams?
Oh, I wrote that down. My highest GMV day was 9,600 and I made about $2,000 commission that day.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another Live Academy podcast. Today we have Laura with us. Laura has been absolutely destroying it on her live streams like all the guests that we have on board here. But without further ado, Laura, super excited to have you. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here. This is kind of unreal that I have an opportunity to do this. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll get to like some of the exciting things that have happened recently with your live streaming journey. But first, I kind of want to just rewind a little bit to the beginning and just ask you, like, how did you hear about TikTok Shop? What got you into it? Kind of what was the beginning point?
It's a long story that I'll try to make short, but kind of, I think, a typical story. So like I downloaded TikTok during the pandemic. I had just had a baby. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, what else am I going to do? We're all bored of the house, in the house bored. So I'm just going to scroll. And I never thought about making videos. That was never, ever a thing that I was going to do. But I just was really entertained by it. And I found it really fun and just really, great community. Around, when was it now? I guess 2023, I started making videos. I was like, let me just dabble. And I randomly had a video go viral. I had over very, very close to 1 million views. And that's when Messy Parenting was born. It was a video about my son having a tantrum. I changed the name. I'm like, all right, we're going to be a parenting influencer. That's what we're going to do now. I had no idea that TikTok Shop even existed, but I did know that there were things such as grow rooms. And I found myself in some of those, trying to grow my account and just making friends and meeting other creators and things like that. And through that, they started talking about, oh, there's this thing called TikTok Shop. You can start selling products. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. My background before I was a stay-at-home mom, I've been a retail buyer. I've been in corporate retail for about 20 years. So I love that side of things. And I was like, I think I could do that. The second I hit 5,000 followers, I joined TikTok Shop and I was completely clueless on what it was, what I should do, how to even make a video. It's been a year. That was about last April. I'm getting those videos that I was making about a year ago on my memories. And I'm like, oh, bless my heart. I was so clueless. I didn't know about Social Army. I didn't know there were communities, anything like that. So I kind of was just figuring it out as I went, watching other people. So it's been an interesting ride for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all probably look back at some of our first videos and cringe a little bit. I'm pretty sure I set many of mine to private at this point because I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want people seeing it. It's, but we all have to start somewhere, right? So yep. Obviously, when you started with TikTok Shop, you started just making videos, just kind of just jumped in. You're like, hey, let's just see what happens. I'm guessing you probably had seen maybe other people posting about their results on TikTok or YouTube or other socials. You're like, okay, it seems like this is a pretty good opportunity. So why not give it a try?
Yeah, exactly. I saw some people being like, this is how much I made per month. And I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I could do that. Let's give that a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about it is it's not like some other business where you have all these startup costs. Like, you're not spending thousands of dollars. You just need to get to 5,000 followers.
Yep.
And now I guess it's even less than that with the pilot program. But that's awesome. And then you said you were in retail. You were a retail buyer for a very long time. So you kind of had some experience with working with products and kind of knowing what are good products, maybe what are not so good products and that type of thing, seeing trends, stuff like that.
What's a good deal? What's a good discount? I've worked a lot in the discount space. So being able to understand oh, that's a really good price. People should really buy that now while it is on sale, because just understanding the value and things like that. So that part I feel like has been very, very helpful.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing like with TikTok, right? Kind of the culture of TikTok shop, and especially when we start talking about live streamings, is like pricing and discounts.
Yeah.
So for you to kind of have that knowledge and be able to spot those things definitely gives you kind of a unique competitive advantage there. So that's awesome. So you downloaded TikTok during COVID 2020. You're like, hey, this is kind of addicting. This is fun. This is cool.
Yep.
You know, I think when I first downloaded TikTok, I was just like, I found myself just like scrolling and I look at the clock and it's like 45
Yeah.
minutes have gone by. I'm like, oh my,
Just
like
45
this
minutes.
is, yeah,
Like 3 hours later, I'm like, where's my kid? Hold on.
yeah, those are rookie numbers, right?
Yeah.
45 minutes. So downloaded 2020. When did you actually start doing TikTok shop?
April of 2024.
Okay. So you just passed your 1 year anniversary on TikTok shop. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So April 2024, TikTok shop, get in, start making videos. How much money did you make in your first full 30 days?
I was really proud of myself. I did $40 in GMV and I made $3.54 in commission.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Like that just kind of shows you because I think my first sale I made like $1 or like eight. It was like less than $1. I'm like, okay, like that's not really that exciting. But what's exciting is this works. Like
Yeah,
that, this kind of proves the concept that it works.
exactly.
So we just need to scale it up a little bit higher
Just a little bit
than,
more.
than where we're at. What do you think were kind of some of your struggles early on when you started doing this?
Um, I think, even having the retail background, I don't really have like a marketing PR, that type of background. So like just even like the psychology behind a video and like what would make someone want to click and buy and things like that. Like I was talking about things, I was really only getting products that either I wanted or I liked or things like that. So I wasn't at that point being like, oh, I know this is a good seller, so I'm going to pretend to like it and sell it anyway, which I think a lot of people fall into that trap. But I was just talking about things that I either already had or liked. So that helped, but still not just being like, look at this. This is on sale. Like I was very salesy, just like, I never really made content before that. So even like learning how to edit a video, like taking out all the dead spaces, all of that stuff was still brand new to me. So it was like all the negatives all piled up together. But I was giving it a good go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the hardest part when you're starting, especially when it comes to videos, is like I saw videos on YouTube where people are like, "Oh yeah, you just show the price and show the price on Amazon and tell them it's on sale, and you don't even have to show your face."
Yeah.
And so my first video was like, I didn't even have and they all said you didn't have to have the product. I didn't even have the product. I was just like, yeah, it's on sale. This is how much it is on Amazon. This is how much it is on TikTok. Um, Absolutely terrible. I mean, it was almost like bottom of funnel before bottom of
Yeah.
funnel. It just didn't work very well. Okay. I mean, that's definitely the toughest part is how do I make content? You know,
Yeah.
like, what am I supposed to say? Am I just supposed
Hmm.
to tell people how great the product is? Like, it's awkward too, especially if you haven't done like any UGC style
Yeah.
um, content in
I
the
don't think I
past.
even owned a light. Like there was no, like I didn't, and putting weird filters on my face, like with eyelashes and things. Like I look back at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, like that doesn't even look like me.
Yeah,
So
we all have to start somewhere though,
yeah,
right? And it's like you kind of everyone. I think that's almost like a deterrent for a lot of people is they're afraid to kind of like look foolish or make a crappy video where
yeah,
it's like whatever. But we all, I mean, everyone's first video is generally speaking is pretty terrible.
yeah.
So you just have to accept that and just focus on getting better. At what point did you start going live? I know you started in April with Shop. When did you like do your first live stream?
So I was so inspired by the grow room that I grew my account in. The host of it is still a friend of mine to this day. Like it was just such a wonderful, warm community that I was like, I want to do that. Like that just seems like such a great thing. I want to help other people. It grew my account so fast. So like, I'll do that too. So I tried doing that for like a week and I was like, this is weird and hard. And I don't know if whatever. Once I got into TikTok shop and I realized that that was a thing that you could actually talk about products. I think pretty early on, even in May, one of the first products I ever went live with was a bag of gummy candy. And I essentially was like, all right, every like 5,000 likes, you guys can tell me which gummy to eat. Like So weird. Like, why was I doing that? And like, I go live at night when my kids go to sleep. So it was like 11 p.m. and I'm like sitting there eating all this gummy candy. And I sold a decent amount of it. I still buy from that same shop. Like, it's good stuff, I'll tell you. But yeah, it was just, why did that become my idea? I have no idea. And I tried a bunch of different products until I settled on a neck massager, which became my product for a good like 3-4 months. I really gave it a go with that. But I didn't have any guidance when I first started. So I was bouncing around a lot. Like, I'd see this thing is on sale, so I'm going to go live with that. I'd go live for like 30 minutes because I have some time and like see what I can do with it. And, I watch other people's success and basically try to copy that. That's really how I was learning at that point.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty natural progression. I mean, I was very similar. I know a lot of other people were very similar. It's like you see somebody doing well with something, you're like, okay, I can probably do that too. So then you kind of, I don't want to say copy, but you go live with the same product,
Yep.
kind of use some of the ideas that they're using and, make it your own, so to speak.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to start seeing like a decent level of success with live streams to a point where you're like, okay, like I'm making real money doing this?
For even the first couple of months, I'm trying to think through the summer, I wasn't very consistent with it. It was probably around August, September where I made four figures, which was like, I was like, wow, like I can even make that. Like, just if I can cover, certain expenses for my family, like that to me was, I was successful. And the neck massager was a hot item back then. They had great discounts on it. They started doing all these promos around, at that point, I guess it was like, I don't know why, around like back to school time. And like, then it got into holiday time and obviously it warmed up. But the company didn't treat their affiliates that great after a while, which kind of unfortunately led to me being like, I think I got to find something else. It also, a big lesson that I learned is it's not a very high commission product. And I was I was feeling great. I had lives where I was selling, over 100 massagers at a time, and yet I'd walk away and it's like, great, I've made $250. Like, that's great. And like, I thought it was great, but then I realized, like, I'd take a look at some of the other things people were doing and I'm like, oh wait, there's other stuff out there. Maybe I need to expand my horizon. um, but I think it was a really great lesson in that, like, I was genuinely going live with something that I liked. I could explain all the features. I really enjoyed using it. So it was like, it wasn't, that part of it was still natural. Like, I got comfortable talking about something in a way that was helpful. Like, people could understand if this is something that they wanted, and then learning how to sell the sale too, because there was an issue where they put it at this crazy low price. And then that price went away. So it was like, I was selling it at $36. Great. Then it was $18. And then I had to go back and try to convince people to buy it at $30 again. And it was like, okay. But you realize people aren't on TikTok 24/7 like some of us are. So most people don't know that it was $18 yesterday and that's $30 today. So just lessons like that and trying to figure out, like, your messaging one day could be completely different the next. And how do you still convince someone that this is worth spending their money on?
Yeah, it's definitely when the price on the product that you're selling goes up, it's definitely a test of your sales abilities, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because a lot of people get worried and they get scared, like, oh, the price on my product went up. I actually had some of my biggest days when the price was higher because it's like I was converting just as well, but
Yeah.
people are paying more now. So
Yep.
my numbers are higher. So I think it's just like there's a lesson in there for people, right? And it's like
Yeah.
we learned this, but don't be afraid if the price of your product goes up. If you think you're depending on price, you can still sell the sale and create urgency even if the price isn't as low as it was yesterday, and
Yep.
you just make more commission per sale when the price is higher. So it's not the
Exactly.
end of the world.
As long as it's still a
Um,
good value, still a good deal, there's still people that'll be convinced if you're doing your
Absolutely.
job.
Absolutely. And it's like if it costs $30, if you can build $100 worth of value, people are still going to spend $30 on it all day long, even if it's not 20 like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So really started seeing, like, I mean, significant income, $250 a day is very significant income, for something that you're doing on the side. Because at the time, I guess we can get into that a little bit. But you were working a job as well and doing this on the side.
I started my job in last July. So, yes, working a part time job, 12 hours a week, doing this basically at night once my kids went to sleep. That's when I would go live.
Okay. Yeah, that's hustle right there. It's, after working, taking care of the kids all day, getting them to bed and all that, like to find the energy to go live, um, says a lot about you, and it also kind of speaks to the success that you've been able to have, which we'll get into as well. So you basically started in April, kind of started seeing some pretty good results, getting into Q4 essentially. At what point did you join Live Academy?
So, I joined Social Army first. I joined Social Army in October and kind of took a minute to like search through and figure out like, is this going to be helpful? What am I going to get out of this? And it was helpful. I definitely, just hearing from other people going through the same thing, I think I kind of reached a tipping point where I was complaining a lot to my husband or my friends, but like when you don't do this, it's like I was speaking a foreign language. And like my husband happens to be a professional editor. So I was like showing him my videos and he was like, okay, like, he gets it. But at the same time, like editing what he does and editing what I do is very different. And just talking about the ins and outs of TikTok Shop, he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I was like, I just need that like community of people who are going to understand it's a true roller coaster doing this. You can have your best day and then the next day have zero sales, and like that's just the name of the game. But that's hard. It's hard on you mentally. So just to find that community and just get some advice from people who were seeing the big success. So I joined. That helped me a little bit through Q4, but I will tell you, I expected a lot more out of Q4 than what I got. But I was kind of chasing products. I was jumping around from product to product. I didn't really know that there were all these like extra bonuses and communities of things, ways to get coupons, and none of that stuff. Like there was it's hard because even when you join a community, like there isn't anyone holding your hand to be like, this is the way that you go to do this. You kind of have to figure it all out for yourself. So I took as much as I could from it, but I kept hearing about Live Academy, and I knew that I was having like 90% of my success on live versus videos. So I was like, okay, I had my biggest month ever in December. I made about $8,000 in commission, and I said, okay, like that's finally, like I feel good about what I'm doing here. And I bought myself a present. I'm going to join Live Academy in January of 2025. So that's when I decided to take the step up. And I really think it's funny. I think about it a lot. When I first got into TikTok Shop, I was 100%. I was like, I am never paying for a community. Like that is like, you've given up. I should be able to figure this out for myself. I'm in my 40s. Like I have a lot of life experience, a lot of corporate experience. I can figure this out. No, it's hard. It's really hard. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation that goes around through videos and things like that. So after joining Social Army, I realized that just like having that one central place of people who are looking out for you, are giving you all the information in a very easy, digestible way, like the fastest way. The updates on TikTok are every single day. So like the fastest way to get the latest information. And then just hearing about what was going on in Live Academy and seeing the success that was going on here versus in Social Army, and the success in Social Army is like beyond, but specifically like to focus in on lives. I was like, all right, that's, I think, where I have to be. And knowing that I could do it, that I could make it work, I think is really what kind of flipped that switch for me. But I made a deal with myself that I have to do at least $5,000 in commission every month to stay in Live Academy, because it is an investment to be in this community. And in January, I almost didn't make it because I didn't listen to you guys' advice. That you guys are, one of the first things that you say is, pick that product, stick with it for 2 weeks. And I had shiny object syndrome the entire month. It was after the holidays, everything's on sale. I jumped from product to product to product for the whole month, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. Luckily, I did 5,100 in commission and I was able to stay in, and then everything came to fruition in February and have since like just skyrocketed since then. So
Yeah, that's a cool story. And I mean, thank goodness you hit 50, 100. Otherwise, we wouldn't
Whew.
be sitting here right now. I mean, who knows, right? But that's awesome. Obviously, so you've only been really in Live Academy for like not even 4.5 months now,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Time has just flown by. But you kind of used that initial success that you saw in Q4. And yeah, I agree with you. Like Q4, I think it was pretty much everyone's first Q4 on TikTok Shop. And like, it just got hyped up so hard that everyone's like,
Yeah.
yep, we're all going to become millionaires in Q4. Everyone's just going to make just so much money. We don't know what to do with it. Wasn't really the case. I mean, as we all learned.
Yeah.
So, this year we'll be a little bit more conscious of that when TikTok is telling us this is going to be insane. But with that being said, you really obviously started taking off in February. Since then, what is the most that you've made in one day on your live streams?
Oh, I wrote that down. Uh, my highest GMV day was 9,600, and I made about $2,000 commission that day.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was a fun day. That was a big
Yeah.
restock day.
What I mean, what did you like, how did you feel after that day? Like it's kind of surreal at that point, right? You're like $2,000, like if I did this every day, you start
Yeah.
doing the math. It
Taking
gets
out
kind
that
of crazy.
calculator, I'm like, okay, this is what people are talking about. All right. I wish I had written down how many hours I was on live that day. I think it was probably close to, it's between 5 and 6. So I think it was two lives, split up between two lives that day. Um, when the lives get going and you start seeing, order, it's just like this is addictive. It's so fun. But at the same time, like I really truly mean it at the end of every single one of my lives. I just thank everybody for the great conversation, the great questions. Like I sell a product that's a consumable. People come back and buy more of it every single month. So I do get a lot of people coming back over and over again. And I recognize people. They thank me for my recommendation on, I give different ways to make the product versus what the instructions say in the bag, stuff like that. So it's like I really do feel like I'm building a community like differently than maybe with selling some things that someone buys once in their life and then you never see them again, kind of thing. I still think you can have a community selling any product, but this has kind of just become, I don't know, it's more than just like the number of orders that I had at the end of the live, which sounds really cheesy, but it's really, really true because, it's a product that helps people in a lot of ways and people who are really struggling. So it's like, I hate when people come in and they're like, it's not working for me. I like, it's sad as if it was like, my sister. I'm like, I'm sorry, get your money back. So I don't know. It's, a day like that makes me realize that like okay, all of the learning that I've done, the studying, the practice, the progress, like it's paying off and that I got to keep going, but there's a lot more learning to be had. I don't every single day, honestly, I still feel like I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Like, to be real, because I have days and the hardest thing about this is comparing yourself to other people. And as soon as I think that's one of the things that Live Academy and Social Army have really taught me is you have to be able to watch other people's success and realize that that does not take away from your own success in any way. And that is a hard thing to do. Even at 40 something years old, I've thrown tantrums about how jealous I was about other people's success with whatever item it was I was selling. Even people who are my very good friends now, I had a very hard time realizing that there's pieces of the pie for everyone here. So it doesn't matter if they have an extra coupon, if they have extra inventory, if they have this or that. Like you can only control what you can control, and you can't let all those other things stop you from moving forward. But I don't know. It's like this really is like teaches you a lot about yourself while you're trying to get that money.
100%, 100%. And I mean, I think you're not human if you don't get a little bit jealous once in a while of other people's success. And especially like just being completely honest, like especially when it's with the same product that you're doing, right? It's like it hurts a little bit. You feel like maybe they're taking money out of your pocket. The
Yeah.
reality is they're not, but it's like sometimes it's hard not to go down those paths of thought. But I also think it's healthy to look at it in a way. It's like, hey, if I'm doing a product or whatever, right, and everyone around me is also having success or having success with that product, it is actually going to fuel me, and I'm going to be surrounding myself with people that are have positive energy
Yep.
and are wanting to get better, as opposed to like if it's just you and then everybody else around you is failing and struggling and complaining, like they're going to probably bring you down a little bit too, just because of the mindset and the energy, right? So it's like
Yes.
surrounding yourself with people that are positive. Maybe they make you a little bit jealous, which is natural and maybe a little bit healthy, but it pushes us to want to be better. And
100%.
but also just understanding like, hey, there's enough opportunity out there where we can all do well, and nobody is like, because somebody's doing good with this product doesn't mean that I can't do good with this product, or they're taking money off of the table for me, or whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
getting back to something that you said earlier, how you really enjoy talking about the product. You enjoy, like you told me, your big stream was, you made over $2,000. But what you said after that was you really just enjoyed the experience, which is connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that come back into your live streams and thank you. And I mean, you probably have people that just come back just to say hi, like, hey,
Yep.
Laura, or Messy Parenting, good morning, just wanted to say hi, whatever. Like, it's kind of crazy. You're like, I'm just selling these people products, but they're actually coming back just to
Yeah.
say hi and thank me and tell me that they're going to order some more next week because they're running out soon and stuff like that. It really becomes fun at that point. I mean, I think people can do well without having that,
Yeah.
but it becomes a lot more enjoyable when you have that and
Mm-hmm.
you've got those people coming back, thanking you, telling you about the results, telling you how they love the flavor or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of the reason you've been able to have success is because like you are passionate about the product,
Yep.
you're passionate about the people, and people can feel that.
Yeah.
People know when you're just trying to ram a product down their throat versus, sure, everyone understands you're trying to make money, which is totally fine.
Yep.
We all have to do it to survive. But at the same time, you also are providing a lot of value and creating connections with people. And I think it really differentiates you from a lot of other live streamers out there that maybe aren't quite having the same level of success yet.
Yeah. It's also a product that it's tricky. It's a supplement, right? There's a lot of stuff I can't say out loud when I'm on live. So I have to come up with creative ways to explain exactly what it is, what it does. And a lot of people exaggerate. And it's like, when people come in here, I get questions and I'm like, I know exactly which video you saw. I know exactly who you've been listening to. And I'm like, I'm going to be real with you guys and I'm going to tell you my experience. It's going to work differently for every single person. But all I can do is be honest. And if you think it's going to help you, then hopefully you can get a click down there to get the coupon. But yeah, so I think it definitely translates. I watch a lot of other people on live, and the best ones are the ones where like you're watching it and it's like by the end of it, I'm like, I want that. I don't need that, but I want it just because of the way that you can make a connection with someone. So
100%. No, that's awesome. And going back to like just really quickly, the big days, it kind of, it stops becoming about the number, right? If you make $2,000 versus like 1,500 or 1,000 or whatever, like it's all really good money. It's all really, really good money. So I think another challenge that I certainly face and I see people face all the time is like you come off of that $2,000 day and then the next day you don't make $2,000 and you start beating yourself up like, gosh, what am I doing wrong? Like I suck. Maybe I can't do this anymore. It's like, okay, well, you still made like a ton of money. But that's just because you did it doesn't mean that's going to be the new normal for every single day.
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely had those days. And you guys have been there to listen to me complain when I have those days. And that's what's so special about a community like Live Academy. Honestly, not to like, go back there, but the people who understand that feeling to be able to like, okay, get it out because you got to get those feelings out of your system. But like, let's now put it back into perspective. Like, let's look at the big picture. But even looking at the big picture, even in some of my biggest months, I've had days where I'm like, I'm quitting this. Like this, I can't handle it anymore. It's a lot about, there's so many things in the background that go into it. Like everybody's why, maybe a certain amount of money for one person is life changing, but for the next person, like you really got to get to this point to like be something that's going to help your family. So it's like everyone is coming at it from a different perspective, but just having people to kind of fall back on where you can complain and vent and get those feelings out and then kind of come back to reality of like, okay, so what can I control in this situation? How can I improve? How can we move forward? Because I was trying to look through and see like those huge days. I have big goals for myself, but it's been a little bit of a struggle trying to hit them lately, just because, things that are out of my control. The inventory of the product, I have no control over that, right? The way the company prices the product, I don't agree with the way that they do it, and I've told them that. I have a lot of background in that. I'm like, guys, you gotta, make some other decisions here. I think it'll sell a little bit faster, even if you're raising the prices. I'm hoping they're gonna listen to me on that one soon. But um, control what you can control and just see the bigger picture and things. And on those days where I felt my lowest, because burnout is a real thing, take that step back, go back to the starting point, go back to the point of like, what is this that what do I love about this? How can I kind of get back there to remind myself why I'm doing this in the first place?
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And it's all about perspective. And it's just so easy to lose our perspective
100%.
when things are going really well or when things aren't going really well. I think all three, there's kind of like three places we can be, right? Things can be going really well. We can kind of just be cruising or we can be struggling, right? And they're all three dangerous places to be because, like, when you're struggling, you want to give up. When you're in the middle, you're comfortable, so you're not really striving to get that next level. When you're up here, you're so worried and concerned about staying up here that you just almost psych yourself out. We just really have to stay even keel
Yeah.
on a day to day. Easier said than done.
Much easier said
Um,
than done.
if you don't mind me asking, do you set like a daily goal for yourself with your live streams? Like, hey, I want to make X amount of money like every single day. Like, do you have a goal like that? And if you do you mind sharing?
I mean, in the back of my head, yes. And have I been able to consistently do it? No. And it's out of my control, but it's also in my control. I would love to have a 1K day every single day. Um, Before last week, I had time limitations. I could only go live at night. I try to do it as much as I can on the weekends, but I do have two kids. I do have a family. We have a trillion obligations and things. And it was getting to a point where I was putting TikTok before my family. I had some serious conversations with my husband about it to try to figure out, like, how can we schedule this in where this isn't disruptive? It's just helping. Because, when you get into it, I mean, for me, it was just like, I just want to be doing this all the time. I love it to the point that I want to do it all the time. But what am I missing out on because I'm just like so focused in on this? I've never really hyper fixated on something the way I have on this because you get so much out of it. But at the same time, like, my family is number one. And that's the reason I do it to begin with. So finding that right balance was obviously key. I had that part-time job. I have, two kids to take care of all day, my husband to take care of, and just, all the responsibilities. So figuring out, can I let that job go? Can I carve a little bit of more time into my day? And I'm ultimately made the decision, yes, I'm gonna leave that part-time job to focus in on this, so that first and foremost I'm getting enough sleep, because that I was starting to actually like make myself ill by not sleeping enough, just because I really wanted to get in the time, make sure, not even just to like hit that daily like sales goal, but just to like show TikTok I was being consistent, like all that stuff that you get told. Um, just because new things started coming my way. I was being invited to things, into different groups, to different events and things like that, because of the consistency and because my numbers kept going up. And I want to keep that going. But if it's at the detriment of my family, it's not worth it for 1 second. So, finding that balance can be really probably one of the hardest things to do. So I'm still working on that.
Yeah, it's always going to be a work in progress with the balancing, right? Especially as, life every day is different. It's not like, hey, every day is exactly the same, so I just know I can just do this then and whatever, have time for my family this time, whatever. It's so complicated and so complex. But you also just said something that I want to touch on really quickly because you kind of snuck it in there
Yep.
about your job. So you recently were able to fully quit your job.
I was, yeah. So I took the job because, just as, I mentioned my husband is a full-time editor. There was a big strike in that industry about a year ago at this point, and that industry is going through a lot just because of the way the world is at the moment. So it's not as cut and dry there. So, I contributed to my family for a long time. I contribute every single day to my family. I was a stay-at-home parent for 6 years. That's a big job. But I wanted to see, now that I had time, my two kids are in school all day. I had some time. Let me see, go get a part-time job and just help a little bit more in that way while I had the time. And it was great. I mean, like, I hit the ultimate jackpot with that job. Like the easiest job, I was compensated well, was only 4 hours a day, so much flexibility. But it was all right around the same exact time that I was just starting with TikTok. So I didn't know, is this going to work out? Is this going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Like, is TikTok going to exist? Who knows? So it all kind of was happening at the same time. And just as this started to really ramp up and take off, I just was like, every month, I think when was the first time they made the decision to like, it was going to shut down. That was January, right? We were all like saying our goodbyes, or saying our goodbye videos on TikTok. So I was like, well, it's been fun. And then it stuck around. And then February was my first 5-figure month. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, I might actually be able to make this work. And like, this is, calculating out like this much per hour per day versus this much. Like, it just wasn't making sense for me to be spending the time. And I was very distracted at work because I'd be sitting there like looking at TikTok, trying to post videos so that by the time I got home, I could just be focused on live. So I wasn't, I felt like it was unfair to them. I wasn't doing a great job. I was doing enough of a job because they just need help. But my focus was all really here. So it finally just hit a breaking point. March was my biggest month so far in terms of TikTok. I have no idea how I lived through that month doing what I did with the job, with the family, and with TikTok. But that kind of, I think, put it all into perspective where like I need to reclaim some of my time. I need to start sleeping again. And I want to focus on this because I feel like there's so much opportunity here that I don't even know exists yet. Talking to people who have become those like top earners and really successful, like there's still so much I didn't even think of in terms of like, brands to work with and different ways to be a live creator other than just like sitting on my bed in my room and talking to people about my favorite supplements. So yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, it just came to a point where you were like, it doesn't make sense for me to keep working this job with the success that I'm having on TikTok. Plus, you obviously like were a lot of your mental bandwidth was taken up by TikTok stuff, which is not a bad thing, right? I think also that's kind of a common trait or characteristic that I see with a lot of people that have success, and not just on TikTok Shop, but just in anything that they do, right? Is they become a little bit obsessed with it.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it like you're laying in bed at night thinking about your script or like your setup or whatever, right? And just like, or what's the price going to be tomorrow? And how many hours am I going to live? How much am I going to sell tomorrow? And what could I have done differently? And like all of these things that just are constantly racing through our heads. I think it's okay and normal to be a little bit obsessed, and I think that really helps us just immerse ourselves in what we're doing and be constantly improving. But we have to find that balance, right? It's like, that's the toughest part. And I'm so happy for you because now you just freed up quite a few hours every single week where, you can either use that for your TikTok stuff, you can use it for your family, or you can just use it for you. Get the sleep that you need and make sure that you're taking care of yourself so that you can be 100% and, for your family, for TikTok, for whatever else you have going on in your life. So I'm super excited about that. You did mention that March was your biggest month so far. So I have to ask, how much did you make in March?
Let me see if I have hold on. I wrote it down, but I know Oh, I didn't write down the GMV in March. Hold on. I can look it up real fast.
Yeah, all good.
My GMV for March was $132,000. And I took home $38,000 in commission, but I also won a contest. Hold on, there we go. The brand that I work with ran one of those contests, and I hit the 125K tier. So I won an additional almost $13,000 in prize money that month from hitting that tier, which is like, I sat down, my jaw just like dropped to the floor. I was like, I saw other people doing this. I don't know that I ever expected that I would be able to do that while also working, I think in March, did we go away? No, we went away in February. When I go on vacation, I still go live. I'm that crazy person.
You're committed. You're committed. So
So
you
yeah,
made 38, did I hear that right? 38,000 in
yeah,
commission plus another 13,000 from the rewards campaign or contest. That's insane. So
yeah.
you had a 50 plus, I mean,
It was nuts.
that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Like I see you just grinding every single day. You're also like an amazing, member of the community. You
Thank you.
encourage other people. You try and help them out, answer questions, support them on their live streams, things like that. So you're doing a ton, and I think with the stepping away from the job, I'm really excited to see what you can do, and also just excited for you to find that balance, right? Because it's so important. It
Yeah,
really is.
me too. I have yet to go to sleep early, but it's only been 3 days.
Okay. Okay. Well, this week you gotta like, hey, tonight I'm gonna be in bed by 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Right. Okay. That's awesome. So you, you just went basically from December. You said you made $8,000 or
Hmm.
8,100 or something like that, and then by March, which is basically 3 months later, um, over 50,000. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Crazy. In all of 2024, I made, including like prize money and like stuff like that, I made about $20,000. And I was like, this is something incredible. Like everybody should be doing TikTok shop. If I can make a random extra $20,000, whatever. Adding it up so far this year, I'm over 6 figures this year. So I'm like still in shock. Every time I look at these numbers, I'm like, wow. Wowie,
That's
we're only in May and we've got the biggest parts of the year to come. Hopefully, you know, things continue the way they are. TikTok stays around and then who knows where we could go from here, but it was a reason to quit the part-time job.
100%. No, that's wild, and I think that's a cool perspective. Like, you've already doubled your income, and it's still in the first or the second week of May for this year right now. So,
Yeah.
you can definitely feel really good about that. Now, I want to ask you, do you have any advice for people that are just starting out with TikTok Shop?
Yes. How do I even? Let's think. Um, Learn as much as you possibly can. Take it in from people who've been doing this for a long time and take everything kind of like you have to be open to critique and criticism because the people that you are turning to for that have your best interest at heart and want to help you. I think it can be hard sometimes. Um, you make a video and you're like, this is the best video I ever made. And then it gets like 200 views and you're like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? But then take that critique and criticism and try to you have to be able to open to learning and changing every single day. Um, what's working for somebody else might not work for you at all. You do need to find what's going to be best for your account and for you as a person. And also, like, you have to believe in yourself. I think that's the only reason why I'm still here, thinking that, this takes a lot of time, especially if you're doing videos and lives. I think it's possible to do both, but like, it takes a lot of time and you have to be able to figure out how much time is worth it versus what you're making. When do you walk away from it? When do you keep going? There's so much that goes into it for every single person. So I think making it work in the way that's going to work best for you. I think that everyone can do this, but everyone's going to do it in their own special different way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's great advice. We have to be willing to kill our ego, which is so hard to do. It really is. But we have like the less of an ego we can have, and when I say ego, I don't mean just like bragging in this and that, but it's just like how we see ourselves in our work. It's like, hey, I think this video was good. I thought this live stream was good. It's like, yes, it was good, but what can we do to get better? Like we always have to be willing to learn and improve and not be like, nope, I've got it all figured out. I know exactly what I'm doing. Because the second you start thinking that way is the second you're going to start declining.
Yeah.
And just being open to that feedback, but also have the confidence in yourself, right? Those are two different things. Like you have the confidence, but hey, we're gonna kill the ego and just be open to learning and getting better every single day. I think that's amazing advice.
Yeah.
One more question for live streamings specifically. what advice would you give to people that are either want to start getting into live streaming shop products, or that are already doing it and just want to, get better, take it to the next level, make more income, that type of thing?
I think there's two things when you're doing lives that you have to kind of consider. Is first of all, you have to be an expert on your product, and the best way to do that is to listen to the questions that people are asking you while you're live, and especially those questions where you're like, I don't know, let me go figure out that answer. The next time you come back, you have every single bullet point of that answer ready, because if someone is thinking it, 100 other people are thinking it. So being able to, I have a product now that there's a lot of copies of it, a lot of other people coming out with it. Do I have to know everything about just my product? No, I have to know everything about those other ones as well. So being an expert in whatever it is that you are doing, and taking the questions really as homework. You're not going to know everything about everything, especially just in the supplement world specifically. I get a lot of medical questions. So I spend a lot of time saying, here are the ingredients, go ask your doctor. So also know the rules of what you can say and what you can't say on live, but also learn to sell the sale, and learn to sell the sale in a way that does not feel like you're selling the sale. So that takes a lot of effort and nuance. I'm still learning how to do that. I do not in any way think that I'm an expert at it, but I have friends who I watch them and I'm like, wow, that is impressive. The way that they just very fluidly talk about that. Oh, and by the way, like, we're going to be sold out. And like, I don't know, you just don't even realize that they're selling you when you're listening to them. And by the end of it, you're like, I'm going to buy that. Like, oh, wait, I have that already. I don't need to buy that. So there's a way to do it in very subtle ways, but also like, not just being like, it's going to sell out, like you don't have to scream and shout. There's very subtle ways to sell a sale that are very, very convincing. And sometimes I don't go back and watch my lives that regularly, but I do pay attention to what I'm saying. And when I start seeing those orders come in, and I refine my script every single day, every single time I go live. If I think about what I was saying 2 months ago about this product versus now, there's a lot of other people doing this too. And the way to learn is to watch other people, get their script, try to like copy, but the customers kind of catch on to that, and they want more information. They want to feel like they're getting a personal connection to you. So you always have to be changing it up and learning more, and just make them feel confident in spending their money on whatever it is you're bringing to them. So
Yeah, I think those are both great pieces of advice. I think, it's so easy to get caught up in like, oh, I have to have a perfect script and know exactly what to say when you start. Literally, your viewers slash customers will tell you what they want to know. And it's your job to continue to implement those things and learn about those things, find the answers to the questions that you didn't know the answer to when it was brought up.
yeah,
And just be a professional, right? That's the huge thing. And people appreciated it. I had so many people come on our live stream and say, I bought it from your live stream because you actually gave me information that I wanted about the product,
yep,
not just like buy it.
yeah,
Sure, you can, that still kind of works a little bit, but if you want to have that long lasting, sustained success and create those relationships in the community, like you got to go, you got to go deeper level, right?
yep,
And then the second thing you said, like 100% agree. I think the best salespeople do not come across as salespeople, right?
yeah,
They're undercover salespeople. Like you don't feel like you're being sold to. You just feel like they're helping you, giving you information.
yeah,
And the natural conclusion is for you to make a purchase.
yeah.
So 100% agree on both of those things. Those are both great points. And hopefully the people that are watching this podcast, whether they're in Live Academy or not, just, thinking about TikTok Shop or already in TikTok Shop, hopefully they put that advice into action if they're not already. This was amazing, Laura. I think you shared some great nuggets of knowledge. And it's pretty obvious why you've had the success that you've had, just your work ethic, working a job, have the family, have the kids, going live at nighttime when you're, sacrificing your sleep, and just striving to be better and improve every single day. It's very obvious why you've been able to have the success that you've had so quickly. Is there anything else that you want to share, whether it's advice, tips, whatever, before we end the podcast?
I mean, I just think that Well, I got to thank my kids. I mean, they really trained me to have those sleepless nights. So it's like they're 6 and 4. They're still waking me up in the middle of the night. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to survive on my 4 hours of sleep at night.
Yeah,
But no, I think, if you have the drive to do this, if you really love it, if you really want to do it, it's not just about, I see somebody else is making this amount of money. I want to make that amount of money. Those are the people who probably are just going to get frustrated and burnt out and not really understand the overall big picture. So it's there's got to be more purpose than that to this, and if you can find that, this is more rewarding than you could ever even imagine.
absolutely. Shout out to your kids for the sleep conditioning.
Yeah.
Laura, thank you again for joining us. For everybody that's watching, if you guys want to be a part of Live Academy, we do actually now have a 3-day free trial. That is a new thing. So you guys can try it out completely for free. Join the community with Laura, myself, and then all the other amazing people that we have in there. Learn how to live stream, be surrounded with amazing people. But no, Laura, seriously, this is so cool to see your success. I'm so happy that you're able to quit your job, just because with that time, it's going to free up for hopefully you to get some more sleep at night and
Yeah.
also be able to spend more time with your family. But I just want to say thank you again. And I'm super excited to see what the future holds.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all your wisdom, guidance, all that stuff. Honestly, it's like the second I joined Live Academy, things just kind of skyrocketed. So I really, I'm very grateful to have found the community and just meet just the best group of people in this little corner of TikTok. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to meet everybody in July.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be nuts.